Hey everybody, this is Dan with Pain Free You, and today I've got the honor to speak with Florian from the Netherlands. And Florian's agreed to tell his story and share kind of his journey with this whole chronic pain, mind body stuff. Florian's experienced whole body pain from the tip of his head to the tip of his toes or somewhere like that. I'll let him describe a little bit more in detail, but brain fog, dry eyes, so some interesting symptoms. And with that, I welcome you. Thank you. Really appreciate you being willing to share your story. It helps so many people. So why don't you
Thank you
just
very much.
spend a minute introducing yourself and jump into your story? Like, when did this stuff start? What was going on? And kind of where did that journey lead you? And I'll shut up and let you tell the story, and we'll see where this conversation goes.
Okay. Well, I think I'll just start with my story when the pain started.
Sure.
I think my first few symptoms started around 2014. I was in I was working on my bachelor's degree at the time. I think I was feeling a lot of pressure to really do well in school and um, also for my internship. I really felt a lot of pressure there. And this was also after, um, I think, well, very stressful moments in my life. It may be traumatic, I'm not sure, but I think that was like the onset or the trigger, you could say.
Okay.
And
So what
it
kind of
started with,
symptoms? Yeah, what did it
yeah,
start with?
it started with back pain.
Okay.
Um, and what, funnily enough, at the time I also recognized, well, I have back pain, and first it was like I think either in my lower back or upper back, and then it switched around. So that's like key symptom of well, TMS right there.
Sure. Absolutely.
Uh, yeah.
So then what happened?
I think especially during my internship, then really things got wrong because, well, first I had back pain for a while, and that was really annoying, and then I think I had the mentality of, well, hopefully it'll just get better by itself. But well, spoiler alert, it didn't. Um,
Right.
I think during my internship, my whole body pain started to really take form, and but for some reason I didn't really know what was happening at the time. I wasn't really aware of um, well, what was going on, and this also well really um, came together with a lot of anxiety and stress and really brain fog too, because I found it absolutely impossible to perform at well my work, and well that causes a vicious cycle of stress, and things just really got out of hand.
Okay.
Um, and it got to the point where my upper back pain was, I think, the worst. I think in 2017, I was at the end of my education, and I thought I really have to do something about this because I'm really afraid if I don't do anything about it right now. So what did I do? I think I went to a physical therapist at this point.
Okay.
I was really kind of my spine looked really weird, and I actually had some postural problems, you could say. Um, so I feel like in the beginning actually benefited from it for a while. That at least maybe that the initial um, benefits kept me stuck later on, but I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Um, so we started treating those symptoms, and then I started doing yoga to relieve the pressure and get more flexible, relieve the stress, and that I also saw that helped for a little while. I found out later. I went to the gym to well, I thought that maybe that's gonna help because I hadn't exercised in like 4 years at this point.
Right. Sure.
And a lot of these things were helpful, but really didn't get to the root of the problem.
Okay.
Um, and let me think.
Well, you said your pain was whole body. So when did it
Yes.
start spreading from the back and moving everywhere? Had that already happened at this point in the
Yeah, I
story?
think yeah. From I think that it happened way faster than I actually noticed.
Right.
I think I was really concentrated on the back area because that's where the pain was most severe.
Okay.
Um, so
So when you say, whole body, I mean, are you talking legs, feet, neck,
yes, yeah.
headaches, arm, like
Um,
everything?
shall I shall I just list most of my symptoms?
Well, just real quick. I mean, we don't have to go crazy with it, but I'm just trying to get a sense for how
Mhm.
widespread it was. Did you get any diagnoses from the doctors? Did they tell you you had
Oh
a
yes, I went to the doctors a few times, um, and also to the doctor at my company where I currently work at, because I'm trying to work stuff out. I was trying to go to all sorts of therapists to get clear what was happening. It was just everywhere I went, I just left disappointed.
Sure.
Be- because well, maybe I've helped a little bit, but well, never really worked in the end. Um, so yes, feet pain, knee pain, pain in my calves, in my shins, my upper legs, my buttocks, my full back, my arms. I had really severe RSI-like symptoms for a while as well, and tension in the jaw and in the head. No full-blown headaches, but
tension
well,
kind of back here?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you had the full gamut of symptoms.
Hmm.
You won the lottery there.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So doctors didn't really help you. Physical therapy, yoga helped a little bit, but never really got you
Yeah, it always
symptom
seemed to
free.
help like a little bit, or I think I make a big breakthrough, but only to come to the conclusion, well, nothing's really changed.
Okay.
Um, I think at some point, yes, at some point, well, during this whole period of trying everything out, I came across this TMS stuff.
How'd you find out about that?
I think I just searched on YouTube for chronic pain,
Okay.
and then I found someone's video explaining that it helped. Um, although I think I kind of rejected the idea at that point. I
That's
just
very
couldn't
common.
believe. I just couldn't believe that it was something like that. Something
Sure.
so simple. Well, not simple, but I just didn't believe it. And plus, I thought, well, I have such bad memory and such poor attention span. I would be completely unable to read a book about it.
Okay.
So, and I was just so stressed out about everything. So I just kind of let the idea drop. Um, but later on, um, after, well, coming to the conclusion, well, I've tried nearly everything, or everything I'm willing to try.
Sure.
Um, plus, I also noticed that I felt better when I was happy or distracted. I thought, okay, maybe there is some sort of mind
Yeah.
body
Sure.
connection here.
For sure.
And so, first thing I did, I think, was search for Dr. Sarno on YouTube. And then I saw your video
Okay.
about the 12 daily reminders
Nice.
and
Okay.
watched that. I thought, okay, this makes sense. And then I think went to your website from the description. I watched the video about chronic pain and then did all the tests. And I came to the conclusion, well, I think this is it. I'm not entirely sure because, well, I'm pretty, or I think I consider myself a rationalist. I want to see if stuff works. So I wanted to put it to the test.
That's great.
Um,
That's smart.
mhm. Yes. And so I what I think, yeah, I binge watched all of your videos pretty much, well, the latest videos,
Sure.
your most popular videos, and it took, I think almost immediately I had effects when I really put it to practice. I remember I was sitting in my chair here, I was trying to get to work, um, and usually for some reason, well, when I was sitting in the chair, I would always my upper legs would flare up.
Sure.
And I think to myself, okay, now I know that there's nothing physically wrong with me. I can, well, whatever is happening, I can deal with it. I can take this on and I can do my work. And that's the moment that everything changed, pretty much.
Wow, cool.
Um, yeah, I think the pain reduced right there, and I had a really great day at work. And then later on, I would try all this stuff out, but I would be so afraid of trying otherwise because I was, well, I'm protecting myself basically beforehand. So try to drop all of my coping mechanisms, well, carefully,
Yeah.
but with faith that it will work. And very quickly, I would realize that yes, it actually did work.
So you stopped avoiding things that previously hurt?
Yes.
That's cool. Very, very cool. So any idea how long it took you to kind of work your way through this and deal with the various parts of your body? Like did the pain go first? How did the brain fog come in? How about the dry eyes? Like did everything kind of start falling away at once, or was it a little bit at a time, and was anything a little bit more tricky than others? And
Um, I think the majority fell away rather quickly in a matter of weeks.
nice.
Some things were kind of sticky though. Such as, well, the dry eyes was kind of a big deal. That took me months.
Okay.
I think it only recently that it mostly or almost completely went away.
Okay.
Um, and brain fog, yeah, I think it also kind of went away quickly. The dry eyes was the most difficult part to get rid of, and also I had this one weird spot on my wrist here.
Yeah.
It would always like I think inflame and dry up, and it
Okay.
was always this spot and well in between my fingers, but it was the symptoms were way less than before, anyways. But I think now it's improved a lot, anyways.
Okay. Yeah, so just a couple of thoughts. I mean, not just for you, but for anybody watching as well. Um, when we are under stress, and obviously if you've got symptoms all over your body, that's a very stressful time, plus everything else Florian was saying about school and internship. When we are under a great deal of stress, our immune system and our digestive system is massively suppressed. And so skin is one of the biggest detoxification organs of our body. So it is possibly with some less than optimal immune system processing going on. You had these spots where you had some, I guess, not necessarily rashes, but dry spots and different skin issues going on. And I don't know officially, 'cause I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but I believe that even the tear ducts in our eyes, I guess, could be part of an immune system response because they're designed to keep our eyes clean, right? Keep them moist and
Mm-hmm.
wash any debris out and all that kind of stuff. So I'm linking, again, I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm linking dry eyes to a suppressed immune system. And then once we get our entire system, our brain and our nervous system dialed down and we're out of the stress response, I think things can start to return more to normal and they start to function a little bit better. So does that kind of correlate towards, where your overall stress level, your fear over your symptoms and your physical health started to kind of calm down a little bit before, the skin and the dry eyes kind of settled down as well? Does that make sense to you or not really? Your experience was different?
Um, I don't know if I understand the question actually.
Well, I guess the question is, the eyes and the skin seem to be some of the later things that happened, right?
Yes. Hmm.
When that happened, were you already in a much better place mentally, emotionally, and stress-wise?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah,
definitely.
then I would think it was a matter of your immune system returning to a more normal function,
Hmm.
and
Could be.
therefore the last symptoms kind of finally took care of themselves.
Yeah.
So how are you doing today? You feeling good, or you still have some things linger once in a while?
Well, symptom-wise, I do have a few symptoms sometimes, but nothing that really stands in my way. And if it happens, it's very mild, and I know, well, oh, this again, I'll just go and continue with my day and uh, forget about it. And I know that it will be all right if I do that. It's never really a problem anymore. So I'm very happy about that.
So that's great. Basically, what you've done is you've made the decision that if a symptom shows up, that you're not going to fall into the fear about that, and you just say, "Ah, that's just TMS," and you go on with your day. And before long, your brain says, I guess Florian's okay. Let's leave him alone." And then you go back to your day, and that's wonderful. To me, that's a recovery because you're no longer consumed by the fear and the desperate need to fix this because you know there's nothing to fix. And you just kind of, when you see a symptom, you go, so what? No big deal.
Mhm.
That's great. Very, very cool. So, is there anything else you want to share about your journey here? Was there anything in particular that made the difference? Or was it really just an acceptance that this is absolutely it? Like the clarity and the certainty that this is TMS and I've got no physical reason for any of this. Because it seems like you finally got to the point where you set aside everything you learned from the doctors and you said, I'm going to commit to this. And it
Mhm.
was there that things started to shift for you. Is that accurate?
Yes. Um, Even though I don't doubt the people that work with me,
Mm-hmm.
um, I ultimately really felt like, okay, I need to take this with my own hands and take full control, because I probably know better how I am than those people. Um, oh, here we go. I just had a memory lapse. Can you please repeat the question?
No, that's okay. I was just asking, um, kind of where you're at now and what's going on, and was
Yeah.
there anything major that shifted things for you? But no, I think we're good. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to add about your story or things that really helped you out?
Um, I think trying to do all this digging and trying all this stuff out really confirmed for me that, well, the problem was somewhere else. Um, and also, really, even though I'm skeptical by nature, but I think giving it the benefit of the doubt
Hmm.
and trying to really read about this stuff, and especially reading about other people's experiences, is, I think, what solved me ultimately. So yes, what you said in a video, I think the knowledge, you need to have the knowledge, because otherwise you cannot have the trust that it will work.
Right.
So I did a lot of research. I think, yeah, mostly I did watch your videos.
Okay.
Based on your videos alone, I could work out how I need to, well, what mindset I needed to have, um, and what stance I need to take in this. And yeah, coupled with the experiences that I had before, just really accelerated my recovery, I think.
That's great. So you had years worth of pain, and then
Mhm.
when did you finally commit to the TMS approach? How recently?
Oh, I haven't kept track. I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. So you've had years worth of pain in 4 to 5 months. gotten to the point where your fear is pretty much gone and most of your symptoms are gone for the most part, except, something will show up a little bit. But the key is for anybody watching, Florian knows what to do when the symptoms come back. So to me, that's fully recovered. Because there are some people that say, well, he still has symptoms, so he's still not better. And they'll be skeptical. Oh, TMS doesn't work. He still has symptoms, but they don't last. They don't last long because he doesn't buy into the fear and he doesn't give them attention. He quickly reminds himself that I'm fine. This is not a big deal. He doesn't give it any fear. He moves on with his day and the symptoms fade away fairly quickly, right?
That's true.
So to me, that sounds to me like a full recovery because when you can lose the fear, you're done. You're better. Right. And we will still have a human experience called pain or a sensation here or a sensation there. But if we don't freak out about it and we just kind of smile and go, yeah, I know what that is. The brain quickly realizes that this new sensation is not a problem. And if you don't treat it like a problem, then the brain is going to say, we don't need to worry about it either. So I think that's great. That was very, very cool. Thinking if there's anything else I want to ask you. Any words of advice to somebody who's deep in their symptoms and just learning about this stuff?
Yes, I think it's really important to educate yourself about this because even if you just have scratched the surface and have just a vague idea about how this works, that I don't think that will help you very much. I think understanding what really worsens it and understanding those key concepts and dynamics with your mindset. Once you know how that goes, then you pretty much have done most of what you need to do.
Okay.
So understanding what needs to be done and then following through with it. That was for me how I did it, I guess.
So in your opinion, how important was it for you to make a decision that I'm going to give this a shot? I'm going to put it to the test or, give it the benefit of the doubt and say, I'm going to go for this. Did you find that making that decision was really a key turning point for you in saying, I'm going to leave the medical behind and I'm going to commit to this?
It was, I think, absolutely vital.
Okay.
At least for how I personally am. So that worked for me.
No, I think it's vital for everybody because there are many people who say, well, I'm learning about this mind body, the TMS stuff, but I'm still going to physical therapy and my chiropractor. I'm going to, people think they can maximize their odds by doing both. In my opinion, it doesn't work that way because all you're going to do is confuse yourself that, well, maybe it's physical, maybe it's this mind body stuff. I think the decision to say, I'm committing to the mind body, to TMS, is critical because you eliminate the doubt that your body has anything to do with it. So I think that was great that's where you got to, and you came to that conclusion by yourself, which is awesome.
Yes. Although, I think if you've been dealing with pain for a long time, you still have all of these habits and even subconscious habits about how you deal with the pain. Sure. So I think that takes a little bit of time to, get adjusted to not dealing with it, even in very subtle ways. You can have like big ways, such as, I used to crack my back like 10 times a day or more.
Okay, I did too. I used to roll on the floor and
horrible.
It's not bad for you. It's like cracking your knuckles. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, but it's not, I don't think it's bad for us.
No, I don't think, I agree with that, but it was important to stop that because otherwise the pain would continue.
Sure.
But more subtle ways for me, I had like many tics, I think, developed, even, because it was full body, or many things, even small things I I just didn't dare try to do, or I would just do something like I crack my neck like that because it would hurt, and it takes awareness to recognize that you're doing that stuff and then make the decision, okay, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, that took a few weeks, I think, or maybe a month. So yeah, don't expect to be healed immediately. But
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing, but as you've proven, you can take years worth of symptoms
yes.
and in a series of a number of months,
Hmm.
sounds like you're doing considerably, like almost completely better.
Yeah.
And again, for anybody who's saying, well, he still has symptoms, so he's not all better. I don't think we can ever expect to never, ever have a sensation again in the future, right? Because we're all human. But the key is Florian's proven that he knows what it is when it happens and he knows what to do about it and he's not afraid of it. So to me, he's crossed the finish line. You've definitely figured this out, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. And you've done it all on your own. I want to point out to anybody watching, Florian is not a private coaching client of mine. We have not actually sat down and done a call, have we?
We haven't, no.
He just watched the free videos on YouTube. And I think I remember seeing your name commenting, and that's how come we're on this call.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point he shared, I'm doing so much better. And I was like, wow, if you'd love to share your story, come on. And so that's why we're here. But point of the matter is, you don't necessarily need to pay money or, do a formal program to get better. Florian's proof that just with consistently watching me, learning from others as well. I wasn't the only person he listened to, but primarily making a decision that this is what he's committing to and implementing and taking action is really why you were so successful. I think that's fantastic. So, look, I'd love to have coaching clients, but here's proof that you don't have to be a coaching client to get better. People are getting better around the world, and he's in the Netherlands. We've never spoken before. And here he is sharing a story how he took years worth of symptoms and, maybe 3, 4 months later, he's mostly better. And I would say completely better because, you know what to do if something happens and you're not afraid anymore. So are you back to
And I
living
had
your
my life
life?
back. Yeah,
So you're having some fun living life?
sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Anything else you want to share?
Yes, also I wanted to say that once I got the ball rolling, when I noticed that it worked, even in small ways, that's when rapid success happened. That's when I know, okay, this is it. This is it. And this is how I'm gonna fix it. And yeah, um, that's just great.
Well, no, but what you proved is you started, because I would say in the very, very beginning when you first said, I'm going to try this, were you certain it was going to work or you said, I know enough to try?
I thought there is a very high probability that this is what I have.
Okay. But you took steps, but then you took notice when even small incremental changes happened and you said, aha, I'm onto something. This is definitely it. And what happened was you gained confidence and momentum, which allowed you to commit even more to this approach. And
Yes,
that's
that's
when it
true.
really snowballed and kind of
Hmm.
proof that when you can get really clear and start to notice the evidence that this is truly what's going on, full recovery happened for you in a matter of months,
Sure.
even though you had years worth of symptoms and pains and challenges.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Anything else?
um, well, and that also during the process, once I got the ball rolling, I found it so funny that I could reflect upon the past events, which definitely confirmed for me, well, this is my body.
Hmm.
Such as I had always had back pain when I was sitting, always. It doesn't matter where I sat. Um, and I noticed that sometimes I would, well, carpool with a friend and he would bring me home, and I noticed I would step out of the car after having a good conversation, having a good time with my friend talking, that I would feel absolutely nothing. And it was so funny, but for some reason that just didn't, I didn't make the connection back then. But
Right.
later on, when I was doing all this TMS stuff, I just thought, oh, of course, how could it be any different?
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense. No,
so
that's great because then you looked back at your past experience and you connected the dots even more to say that was
mhm,
proof, that was proof, and you started to really understand deeper that you've already had experiences that showed it was not a body thing. It was definitely a TMS, a mind created set of symptoms and pains. And that probably just gave you even more confidence and clarity that you were on the right track.
it did, yes.
That's awesome. Very
Um,
cool.
Another
Anything?
thing I want to add is I was just so shocked that I was never told that this TMS stuff is real. Well, and that I had to go to such far. Um, how would you say that? Um, I had to take such dramatic measures and take such a long time to figure this stuff out, and that, well, nobody in the general audience knows that this is true. Well, we have psychosomatic disorders, but well, TMS, I never heard about it, and I only heard about it in like the one obscure corner in the internet.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's
I just,
frustrating.
yes.
It's frustrating for sure. You spent years suffering that you didn't necessarily need to. But I will tell you this, uh,
Mhm.
with your level of pain and discomfort, if somebody, some doctor told you, oh, you know what, this is something called mind body syndrome or this is TMS, you may not have been ready to accept it, right? The first time you said, I read about this or I heard about it or I watched a video, you were like, nah, that can't be. I can't believe that. Um, Sometimes I find that the people who have already exhausted all of the medical efforts, that's when they're ready to hear this.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
if you tell somebody with a certain set of symptoms right up front that guess what, maybe it's your brain creating the symptoms, they may get upset and offended that I'm not imagining this. You're telling me it's all in my head, and and so sometimes, unfortunately, people have to go through their own journey and kind of get to the end of the medical road before this actually becomes something they're even willing to consider as
Mhm.
creating all the challenges. So it's
I,
interesting.
I agree with that, although I think the problem lies in that um, telling me that there's something that it's in my head, which has already been done by, well, I think at least a few people when I had pain. It lacks nuance. It doesn't explain what's going on, what the dynamics are. So even somebody might say it, even a doctor, but then you still are left thinking, well, okay, well, if it's true, what do I do about it? How do I go about treating it?
Right.
So I
Exactly.
think that's why I
They don't have the
found you,
answer.
that's why I found your YouTube channel so useful, because there was so much practical information out there and very easily digestible in short videos.
Sure.
So
So that's awesome. And for anybody who's just finding this stuff, I have an explaining video about what this mind body syndrome is at painforyou.com. The first video on the homepage, just literally, it's a 20-minute video, which really just explains the nuance of the brain creating the pain. And so for anybody who's new to this stuff, that's a good place to start. And then just start watching some of the daily videos as well. Anything else you want to share? I think this was great so far. If you don't have anything else, that's cool. If you do, we'll keep it rolling.
okay, I'm just gonna take a quick peek on my notes list because I had some stuff written
Yeah,
down
no
if I missed
problem.
anything. Um, um, Let me think. Well, there's something that I specifically want to talk about because
Sure.
even though most of the pain was, well, very, very annoying on its own, I think what I found most difficult to deal with of the pain itself was the RSI like symptoms, like
Okay.
the pain in my hands and my wrists, because that leaves you pretty much unable to do anything.
Yeah, and you're a musician too. I see the bass guitar
Yeah,
behind you, so you can't play bass if you're.
no, and then you have no hobby, so you don't have relaxation, and
It snowballs from there. Yeah.
yeah.
Worse.
So kind of want to talk a little bit about that, how that happened. Um, I think a lot of this pain was caused because I felt such pressure to do good and be good, and in your the tests that you have, a lot of these um, questions revolve around, well, such personality.
Right.
And I think I was in a band when the pain in my wrist really
Okay.
spiraled out of control.
Sure.
Um, it started really fun, and well, just very kind of casually, and they very quickly wanted to, well, do gigging and get large and stuff, and I really liked them, and I also really liked playing music, and I just didn't know how to say no at this point. So
Right.
I've had a few gigs where I was just trying to play, even though the pain in my right wrist was just stinging and burning and
Wow.
hurting incredibly. Um, what do I say about it? Word of advice: don't. But yeah, it's. I think the it might have been many of these instances might have been actually physical pain or actual damage because I was training it so much. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe not.
So let me share my thoughts on that.
Uh-huh.
Um, I believe that a lot of this TMS is our brain and our nervous
Mhm.
system becoming highly sensitized, highly on alert for any danger.
Yes.
So, pain is typically the brain's response to perceived danger. So, if you're
Mhm.
thinking, ouch, I'm hurting while I'm trying to play the bass,
Mhm.
and you're feeling the pain, your brain is latching onto that and saying, you better stop because you might actually be damaging yourself from the tension of playing so much. And maybe you weren't used to playing a whole gig and playing straight through, and your brain perceived danger and thereby turned up the pain. And the more that you played and didn't stop, the higher the
Mhm.
pain got.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's perceived danger that really turns it on. Is it possible there was some normal fatigue from playing so much?
Mhm.
Absolutely. But I'm not convinced it was damage. I think it was just
Right.
enough that your already hypervigilant brain, which was already firing up some other symptoms, just kind
Mhm.
of latched onto it and said, Florian, what are you doing? You're going to hurt yourself. And it
Yeah.
amped up the pain to try to get you to stop. So that's my take anyway. I don't know if
Right.
that mimics your experience, but I think that explains why. And especially if you're in a situation where you want to play, but you don't really want to, and maybe you had some school you were working on and other things that
Yeah,
you were
that's kind of
overwhelmed
true.
and you already had some symptoms and you were like, I don't want to say no. So it
Mm,
all combines to just a whole system that's kind of in a state of vigilance
yeah,
and overwhelm.
I think you're right, actually.
Just my
um,
take.
I think now I remember something vital, I guess.
Sure.
Um,
Go ahead.
okay, so there's a couple of things that, well, they tell you, for instance, with playing bass, they say, well, proper technique is important, otherwise you're gonna get a carpal tunnel.
Sure.
Or also something else I heard very often is sitting is very bad for your back because the discs are gonna degenerate or whatever, those kind of things. So those messages from, just saying society, even though that makes me sound, I don't know, cynical. No, you still you do hear them from people and from, news and stuff. Well, that creates a lot of anxiety about it, and I think that's also what really well made the problems worse. So
Belief.
and my sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, my experience has been, well, you need to figure out for yourself if it rings true or not. Even though there might be some truth in this, well, that doesn't. How are you gonna go about in society without sitting? That's just impossible.
Yeah, look, if sitting were dangerous, I'd be in a lot of trouble because I'm in this chair probably 10, 12 hours a day. And if
Right.
sitting were dangerous, I would probably be racked with chronic pain, but I'm not. I don't hurt
Yeah.
at all. And when I get up, I don't hurt. I don't need to do stretches after I've been sitting here for a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
So the belief that sitting is dangerous is more of a problem than sitting. So it's all
Yes.
what the brain believes. And if you believe the sitting is dangerous or playing the bass is dangerous, I mean, there's bass players who are 80 years old that don't have carpal tunnel.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Definitely.
know, it can't be that playing the bass is dangerous. Right?
That's true.
So I don't know. I think no, that's a good insight though. That
Mm-hmm.
what we hear from society and from media and from other people can definitely influence our fear levels. And the more fear we have, the more symptoms we get. Right?
Right.
Cool.
Okay.
Anything
I
else?
don't think.
Or
I think I'll just keep it at that. I don't really think I have more to add.
no, that was wonderful. That was great. I really appreciate you sharing your story. Um, it's nice to see somebody with such a wide variety of symptoms: the back pain, the whole body pain, brain fog, dry eyes, carpal tunnel like syndrome, um, and really being able to make a decision, seeing the evidence that this is absolutely what was going on, and then just committing to it and sticking with it. I think that's fantastic. In a very short period of time, a number of months, you've gone from completely overwhelmed with symptoms and wondering what happened to kind of getting back to life and really enjoying yourself. So
Yeah.
I think this was awesome. I really appreciate you doing this. I'm sure the people watching will be very grateful. Um, Keep an eye on the channel. You'll see it posted probably in the next week. Takes a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of time for us to do a little bit of editing, putting the frame around it and making it look pretty. But Florian, thank you very much. And I appreciate you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for having me. It was great to talk to you.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you.
right. See ya. Bye bye.